Hello, we are live with another episode of BS Busters. I think for the first part of this will be a solo cast. Um, this BS Busters is pretty much going to be a light one. We don't have a lot of stuff that's happened this week news-wise. And actually, I'm going to be covering some stuff that happened last week as well. So without much ado, let's get into it with the first bit of news, which is the Lego City debacle. Now, when I call this the Lego City debacle, I mean, you may have seen it if you belong to the YouTube gaming community. People complaining about a misprint, or not really a misprint, but a catch-all phrasing on the packaging for Lego City for the Nintendo Switch, saying that it had to have a certain portion of its data downloaded to the device. I'm not really here to talk about that because that's not really, it turns out it was just a catch-all phrasing, not really a negative, not really them trying to cram something down your throat. The more egregious issue with this game is that it's $60 for a game that when it first came out was $50 on the Wii U and stayed $50 for like 2.5 years until last year, where it was reduced down to $20. And I mean, you're talking about a game that's $20 on the Wii U, and the upgrades that they added are not like the visual upgrades and the multiplayer aren't really worth what was not really worth, in my opinion, the $40 upcharge. For example, Lego City, I mean, on the Wii U it was 720p, 30 frames per second. It's still 30 frames per second in 1080p. I mean, it simply is slightly more HD'er, if you will. You could say, well, I have it on the Switch. It's portable. Yeah, so that's not really that isn't really a driving factor for me as a gamer. Oh, I can play it anywhere. I mean, games shouldn't be played anywhere, really. Like, there's certain times where it's really useful. Like if I'm on the metro, coming or going to work, it's nice that I can pull out my 3DS. But if someone snatches my 3DS, I can get another one for like 130, 150. If someone snatches my fucking Switch, good luck with me getting another one. Especially if I'm someplace where the supply issue is kind of, iffy. So essentially, that's my biggest gripe with the game. It's $60. The last gen version of the game is $20, so there's a $40 difference, and what they added is not really worth a $40 upcharge. This is basically emblematic of what Warner Brothers likes to do, though. They overcharge on some of their games. Like really, this game should be no more than $39.99. It should be no more than $39.99. That's it. That's the highest this game should be. Because, like I said, I mean, aside from a multiplayer mode, they didn't add new missions to take advantage of that multiplayer mode. I mean, and to tell you the truth, even though I enjoy Lego City is not even the most impressive open world multiplayer experience that they've created. I mean, Lego Batman 2 is better. Has a better open world. Lego Avengers has a better open world. A bigger roster of characters to play as, more interesting costumes. Hell, the Lego Star Wars Complete Edition with episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is a better, I mean, it's not an open world, but it's a better multiplayer experience. So, I mean, like, that's not really what I call a valid, that's not a valid reason to tell me, okay, you should be paying more. So, yeah, that's not funny. That's not funny, not worth it. So, I mean, Like the Lego City debacle just doesn't do anything for me. And frankly speaking, it smacks of what's the word I'm looking for? It smacks of arrogance on a level that we haven't seen. Well, I mean, but this is Warner Brothers, so I mean, I was about to say arrogance that we haven't seen in a long time, but this is Warner Brothers. This is what they do. This is they love to do this to people. If you're watching this on the YouTube, via YouTube, you can leave questions in the chat if you so wish, or comments. It doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, Warner Brothers, I can't hang. You know, I'm like, you know what, man? Nope, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all. I can't. So I will not be purchasing this game, not only because of the price difference, but because I already have Lego City Undercover on the Wii U, and you know, I played a demo of this game at my local mom and pop game store, and I mean, it's not terrible, but I mean, the additions that they added don't make it worth my time as a gamer. But if you want to buy it, knock yourself out. If you really, if to you those are worth it. I mean, if I was gonna get it, I would wait until the price dropped. Which, you know, once some more games come out for the Switch, you know, once fall hits, you know, you'll see better. You'll see more games. You'll begin to see price drops. What else? What else? What else? So, I mean, that's basically it. So speaking of Warner Brothers, as a nice segue, as a third party, I would say, in my opinion, that essentially what they would call their third party support, which is porting at this point 4-year-old game at an exorbitant price hike over to the Switch. And I mean, here's the thing, not only is it an exorbitant price hike, but it's on other systems. It's on PC, it's on PS4, it's on Xbox One, and it's on the Switch. So like, why are you charging so much? Why are you charging AAA prices for a single A game? So that's bad third party support. But speaking of third party support, and we just discussed I just discussed a bad version of third-party support. Let's talk about good third-party support for the Switch. Believe it or not, Ultra Street Fighter V Final Edition. That looks like that's going to be a fun game. It really does. Not saying it's going to be perfect, not saying it's going to change how the world works or anything, but it looks like it will be fun. I recently purchased a Pro Controller in preparation of Ultimate Street Fighter V. And here's the thing, sorry, not Ultimate Street Fighter V, Ultra Street Fighter 2. And that game is gonna cost like $29.99, or here, let me look it up. Ultimate Street Fighter 2 for the Switch. Sorry, it's gonna be $39.99. That's a fair price. Okay, that's a fair price for an old game being ported over. $40 with your if you pre-order it via Amazon, it's going to be $30. That's a fair price. I mean, but I mean that's actually good third-party support. Yes, it's a port of an old game, but it's arguably the most popular Street Fighter ever released. So it makes sense that they would re-release that. Puyo Puyo Cross Tennis from Sega, good third-party support. Disgaea 5 Disgaea 5 Complete Edition that has all of the um, extra shit on it. That's good third-party support. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that third-party support is bad or it doesn't work or whatever. I'm just saying I want it to be good. You know what I'm saying? Um, and we don't see that nowadays. We really don't see good third-party support for Nintendo systems. um, and I mean, I'm glad that the Switch is getting some good stuff. I'm glad it's not getting a whole bunch of last-gen ports thus far that we know of. I mean, but the real test as to see whether or not the system is going to get what it needs is if that delightful bastion of gaming integrity, Bethesda, puts a game on the system that actually isn't a broken piece of shit. Probably will be. I mean, you know, if you if you're expecting Skyrim on the Switch to be awesome and not a broken piece of shit, I don't know what to say to you, because it probably is going to be a broken piece of shit. Just saying. Not happy about it, but this is Bethesda we're talking about, folks. Bethesda. You know, we're talking about Bethesda, folks. So, I mean, like, good third-party support for this system. I mean, right now we have some good stuff coming from Japan, not a lot of great stuff coming from Western studios. I mean, we saw in that Direct Wednesday, you know, Ubisoft's like, well, we're releasing Rayman yet again. Frankly speaking, I don't really give a shit, because Rayman Legends was really meant to be played on the Wii U gamepad, and it doesn't work as well if you take out the gamepad experience. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to put Zombie U on the system too. Those bastards. Because they're bastards. I mean, let's just keep it real. Ubisoft is not what we would call the best developers of all time. So with that being said, I guess what else can we say about third-party support? I guess the thing that's kind of getting me with all the third-party support for the system is people like it almost feels like a repeat of the Wii U in a lot of ways. People are like, well, someone's still supporting the system. That's not really support. Supporting a system is what they did to the PS3. Like, people forget that when the PS3, for the first 2-3 years of the PS3's life cycle, it was selling like shit. And third parties still supported that system. They put really good games out on that system. They supported the shit out of it. The Wii U didn't get that courtesy. Neither did the Wii. I mean, the Wii had good games on it, but you had to dig through mountains of shit to get to them. Not all of them, but not mountains, maybe small hills. And the Switch, I don't want the Switch to wind up being that way. I mean, I know if it's successful enough, it will attract shovelware. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But I don't want a system that people are buying and it has mountains and mountains and mountains of shit that they have to get through in order to get to the good stuff. So, I mean, like I said, I mean, we're seeing good third-party support from the indies, obviously. I got Has-Been Heroes for PC. I'm probably going to double dip and get it on console once I get a 128 gig micro SD card. But yeah, I mean, like I mean, aside from the indies, I'm not really trusting the bigger third parties, especially the Western third parties with the Switch. You know, I want to see if they're putting forth a half decent effort for the system. If they aren't, then fuck them. Speaking of a half decent effort, I guess we'll get to the third point I wanted to talk about in this video, or solo cast, if you will, which is what franchises I would like to see ported over to the Switch. I originally, when I first wrote this description, wanted certain games, but forget that. I'm going with franchises. I would like to see on the Nintendo Switch, I would like to see, well, I mean, this is stuff that's probably going to happen. We're probably going to see Dragon Quest X brought over to the Switch, to America. Hopefully, knock on wood. We're probably going to see Dragon Quest XI ported over to the Switch. We're probably going to see, what else will we see brought over to the Switch? We're probably going to see, I mean, this next one's kind of a very iffy maybe, and I don't even like this franchise, but it might be ported over. Square Enix, if they ever get Final Fantasy 3, Kingdom Hearts 3 finished and shipped, a year after that comes out, they'll probably do a Final Fantasy 3 trilogy that they'll re-release that has the first two games and a package with the third one, with all the with a little bit of extra content maybe, and they'll probably release that on everything, including the Switch. But that's probably not going to be for 2 or 3 years down the line. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Western IPs. I know this is going to sound bad, but I would actually like to see a Borderlands. I would like to see the next Borderlands on the Switch. I think that would be a fun game to play on a Nintendo system. Even though Borderlands is actually a really dark game, but I would like to play it on the Switch. And hell, if they could port Borderlands 1 and 2, and maybe do a trilogy of Borderlands 1 and 2 and the pre-sequel, I'd be totally down with. I mean, I wouldn't get it, but I know some people would get it. Let's see, what else? Maybe Dishonored. I wouldn't mind seeing Dishonored ported over to the Switch. Maybe BioShock Duology 1 and 2 ported over to the Switch, because BioShock Infinite sucks. It's not a very good game in my opinion. But I mean, if they want to do a BioShock trilogy and put that game on the system, I'm not gonna be like, no, these bastards, how dare they have a system with games? You know, I'm not gonna do that. What else? I mean, what other franchises would I want to see on the Switch, ported over to the Switch? I would say Mass Effect, but we've already been through that debacle with EA, where they literally released Mass Effect 3 with none of the DLC or any type of benefits, like for $60, and then a week later, the Mass Effect trilogy hit the PS3 and the Xbox 360 and PC for the same damn price. So, I mean, even though I like Mass Effect, you're not going to see Mass Effect on this system, which is sad because Mass Effect is a good game. But would they put it on a Nintendo system? Probably. I mean, after Mass Effect 3, because, you know, EA likes to blame other people instead of themselves when they fuck up, because that's what EA likes to do. You know, oh well, it's always someone else's fault. That's why shit fell apart. Here's an interesting story aside. It doesn't really have anything to do with third parties or WB or franchises that we like to see ported over to the Switch, but I thought it was an interesting business side of the video game industry. This week we discovered that Microsoft signed a 6-year deal with Porsche, the car manufacturer and brand, in order to to do something through Forza. And some people are saying, well, they're spending money they don't need. I think it's the opposite of that. I think Microsoft inked a deal to have Porsche maybe help fund Forza, and in return, there's going to be more Porsche cars in Forza. Help brand recognition for the Porsche. I think Phil Spencer has been laying the groundwork to, and I've said this before, he's been laying the groundwork in order to essentially fuse the Xbox division with PC. The Xbox Scorpio is basically a 0.5 upgrade for the Xbox One, and the Xbox One S is like a 0.2 upgrade to the original Xbox One. So this is the 0.5 upgrade to the Xbox One. And I mean, is it going to make much of a difference for the Xbox? Probably not, because I mean, it's not even an issue at this point. Upgrading consoles is like the 0.5 upgrades isn't even like, power is not an issue in gaming now. We need more power. We need more power. No, power is not the issue. It's how you use the power that you have. And at this point, no one has really leveraged a console or optimized the code for the console in order to leverage what you can do with the game. From Microsoft or Sony's side, or third parties putting games on those two systems. We haven't seen a game from either of those two systems that has pushed a console to its limits. Even the Wii U, I don't think we saw a game for the Wii U that pushed that console to its limits. I think the closest you're going to get is maybe Xenoblade Chronicles X and Zelda Wii U, but even then, Breath of the Wild, but even those games weren't breaking, like really pushing that console to the point where it was about to blow up. We had games like this during the SNES and NES eras. There were like Kirby's Adventure on the NES. That game was doing shit that the NES just should not have been able to do, and yet they had basically tricked out what they could do with it to the point where, like Kirby, what the visual effects and the special things they were doing in that game were things that you would see being done on the SNES. So literally, they had pushed that game, and it's the last. I think it's like the second to last official game ever released for the NES. I think the last one was Wario's Woods, but I mean that's the last game I can remember pushing a console to its damn near its breaking point. But I mean, we haven't really seen that nowadays. I mean, we aren't seeing games that push a console to its breaking point, because developers are like, we need more power, we need more power. Which the amount of power that these consoles have now is like a man having. I mean, and I'm going to use a crude joke, but it's very apropos. It's like someone having 8 inches of have an 8-inch long erection, and they're like, I need 2 more. Look, if you have 8 and you don't know how to do anything with that 8, 2 more ain't gonna help you. Okay, and that's basically how it is with gaming now. Like all these consoles, from the Wii U to the PS3, the PS4 to the Xbox One, all these consoles are relatively powerful. The Switch, the PS4 Pro, the Xbox, I mean, they're all relatively powerful. If you can't get decent games that aren't bug-free out of this relatively powerful hardware, it's not because the hardware isn't powerful enough. It's that you don't know how to program well enough, or the quality, the craftsmanship going into your product isn't good enough to make sure it's going to work well. So, I mean, that's basically all I can say, because I mean, there's nothing else that really needs to be said at this point. I mean, literally, there's nothing else that needs to be said at this point. So, I mean, essentially, Microsoft. Back to the original point, Microsoft is Phil Spencer is basically lining things up for Microsoft so that the Xbox division has the lowest operation costs as humanly possible, and you know, the amount of operational budget they were given by your operational budget is what you give each branch of your company. If you have multiple branches at the beginning of the fiscal year, that basically, you know, it's gonna, like, let's say I owned a multi-billion-dollar company and I had 5 branches, and each branch roughly took you know, $5 billion, no, $500 million to do to do all their projects, get everything done with a little bit extra for padding in case something goes over budget. Basically, at the beginning of the year, I would give each of them $500 million, and I'd say, okay, here's your operational budget. Do what you need to do out of that $500 million. And I mean, basically, I mean, like, the operational budget for the Xbox division was over bloated because they aren't producing that much revenue compared to how much money they were losing. So that was cut like 2 or 3 years ago. So basically, a lot of the shit that Microsoft used to be able to do, the Xbox division used to be able to do, like those money hatting, they can't afford it anymore. They don't have the money for it. And really, I mean, the fact that you see the Xbox One Scorpio coming out, I think that a lot of projects got canceled because they needed to take money that was being allocated to that and shift it over to making the Scorpio. And the little bit of money they're getting to maintain the Scorpio, I think, is just going to be on the simple fact that they're going to just fuse the Xbox division with their gaming for Windows. They're going to bring back gaming for Windows and just do that. Which, I mean, money-wise is a wise choice because there's a lot of money in PC. Because, I mean, like, there's like 500 million PC people on the planet plus. I mean, it's more than that, but I'm just, you know, 500 million plus. And, I mean, if you combine all the Xbox people, there's maybe, like, the original Xbox 360 and the Xbox One, maybe 90 million. And trying to cater just to 90 million versus 500 plus million, it, you know, it... you can fuck up and still do really well with 500 million, whereas 90 million, nah, it hasn't really been panning out for them. So I guess we're at the end of this solo cast. Stay tuned. Normally this would be the part where I would have the other people on my cast pimp out what they're doing, but since no one else is here, it's just me. So I'm going to pimp out what I'm doing. Stay tuned next week. I will be covering some articles about the rise of JRPGs in Japan. The PC culture in Japan. When I say PC, I don't mean politically correct. I mean like personal computers. I also will be doing a video about one of my personal favorite movies of all time. And it's a comedy, so stay tuned for that. And peace. Oh, and happy Easter.